Welcome to Now, Near, and the Future with Nyla Meir and Quinn Harrington. A podcast that's part crystal ball, part microscope, and part rocket ship.
Let me adjust my mic real quick.
You can leave that in now.
What?
You can leave that into the recording.
Yes. Welcome to Now, Near, and the Future. I'm Quinn Harrington.
And I'm Nyla Meir. Today's guest has spent her career on a simple belief that hunger is solvable. Not managed, not reduced, solved.
She's the Vice President of Philanthropy at Feeding Northeast Florida. It's kind of a mouthful. The largest food bank in our region, serving 97,000 neighbors every day across 12 counties. She holds the CFRE designation, Certified Fundraising Executive, which means she approaches philanthropy as a craft, not a campaign.
Jackie, welcome. And we're excited to have you here on our podcast today.
I'm excited to be here.
I am glad, and I like your smile. It makes me smile more. We are going to do proper introductions in a few minutes, but before we do that, we wanted to ask you something that we usually don't ask or people don't usually ask. How do you show up to this work every day without being overwhelmed by the scale of it?
So this work is near and dear to my heart. I grew up in poverty, and so I have that lived experience. And I will admit sometimes it is overwhelming, but we approach what we do with just an open heart and knowing that the mission is at the forefront of everything we do. We just did a teen ambassador program, and I was teaching them how you make decisions based on the mission of your organization. So everything down to whether or not we're going to mail something, or how we are going to approach something is all done through the lens of our mission. We use food as a catalyst to improve lives and communities. So by always staying laser focused on the mission, that really helps.
Very
That's
good.
amazing.
So Jackie Culver, before we dive in deeper, we do this segment called Around the Room.
Around the Room.
Talking about what's on everyone's mind that has nothing to do with a job title. So I'll go first. I sit on Flagler's School of Creative Arts and Letters. It's an advisory board, and essentially what we do is we raise money for various initiatives. Flagler College just finished their 5-year capital campaign, raising somewhere in the neighborhood of $65 to $70 million. So pretty substantial effort. Our little group, we do about $35,000 a year that we raise for scholarships and trips and stuff like that. Nothing to the scale of money that you have to raise, but at least understand a little bit of what you go through on a daily basis.
Okay.
How about you, Nyla?
Well, great timing for this conversation because I'm currently the chair of a UK charity, and it's all about fundraising for education for kids in Pakistan and Southeast Asia and South Asia. So I'm currently thinking about my fundraising strategies and campaigns, and we were just talking about this before we started the call, how difficult it is nowadays, to fundraise with all that's happening around the world. And how do we get people's attention? So I'm quite excited to see what we get out of these conversations and learn a bit more from you. And I've also worked with a lot of food banks in the UK. So there's lots to talk about. What about you, Jackie?
I'm dying to hear about all of that. I'm super excited to see what's the same, what's different. So I think first and foremost on my mind today was yesterday our CEO announced her retirement at the end of the year. So that's kind of got a lot of excitement going on here at the food bank. Susan King, our CEO, has truly been a visionary leader who stood up this food bank when the region did not have one 12 years ago and has just seen us through so much growth. So that's been top of mind here at the food bank lately.
So are you moving into that position as CEO?
Oh, no. No, 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 no. So we
Yeah.
joke, I'm actually retiring. We're retiring together. We kind of joke we're sailing off into the sunset together at the end of this year. But Susan is a builder. I'm a sustainer. And we work very well together. So whoever ends up in that role, food banking is extremely complex on so many levels. And I'm sure we'll kind of get into that as we talk. So I'm the person you bring in to help you do your vision, not the opposite way around. So I would be a terrible candidate for it.
Gotcha. Anything going on outside of the food bank?
Yeah, I mean, just family stuff. I have 2 boys, that I love dearly. My sweet husband, my eldest son is, a dentist in the U.S. Army getting ready to ship out to serve the multinational forces in Egypt. That's exciting. My youngest son is a former accountant who's getting, ready to launch his legal career. So just kind of empty nesters now.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah, I have a
time to
13-year-old and a 23-year-old, so I won't be an empty nester for at least 5 years.
Oh, you get used to it really quickly. It's kind of strange because you think you're just, "Oh, this is so terrible. My babies are leaving me." And then, you kinda get to do your own thing and don't
Yes.
necessarily have to make dinner every night and like,
I've
"Huh."
already have plans of
Yeah.
what to do with the older one's bedroom when they move out, so
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
transformed ours into we call it the Barbie room. It's
Yeah,
where all my clothes are. I live in a 1950s
Nice.
ranch, so no closet space at
yeah,
all.
totally.
So I basically turned it into my get ready room. Love it.
I
Nice.
love it.
Love it. Love it.
Excellent.
I've always wanted one, but in London, the houses are pretty small. So I don't have enough space right now. And my kid is 2 years old. So I've still got how many years? Two lots of years for her to
Yeah.
leave.
As many as 30, depending on
Knowing
things.
our family.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, we actually interviewed someone, who helps, parents of kids who never wanna move out, so that's a
Oh,
good episode for you to watch, but you
I'm gonna go watch that. Remember the movie Failure to Launch?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
it's basically the
It's a real
concept.
job. It is a
So,
real job.
absolutely. That was, Kim Minch. So, I forget which
Yes.
episode that is, but,
I'm writing it down.
yeah, look up Kim Minch. She's very dynamic person. Okay, so this is a perfect time to properly introduce our guest. Jackie Culver has spent her career helping out nonprofits grow and currently serves as Vice President of Philanthropy at Feeding Northeast Florida, the largest food bank serving 12 Northeast Florida counties. Feeding Northeast Florida rescues and redistributes high-quality food through more than 40 anti-hunger partner organizations, reaching more than 97,000 neighbors every single day. Jackie holds the CFRE designation, one of the most rigorous credentials in professional philanthropy. She's a Florida State University alum with training through the Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, and she's as embedded in Jacksonville's civic life as anyone in this city. And Jackie is I guess, would be a neighbor. So, what part of Jacksonville do you live in?
Ortega?
Okay, so you're literally just down the street from me. We are neighbors.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm over there by the Fishware Elementary School.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yep,
see, I
yep,
over there all the time. So
yep.
now you have to join our happy hour group,
Oh, that
Gwen.
sounds great. I love that.
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
we can Zoom Nolly in.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Jackie, where can people find you and Feeding Northeast Florida on the internets and social and whatnot?
All right. So our website is feedingnefl.org. And that's kind of an important thing to know because that's where you go if you want to find food in your area or if you want to volunteer. So we have easy access so that our neighbors, when they're in need, they can put in their address and find a food pantry that's open in their area because we do serve 12 counties. So that website's really important.
How about social?
Feeding Northeast Florida.
Yeah, just Google it.
Just
And
put us in.
do you have a personal link you want to share, or?
As far as just
Like
Oh, my personal
LinkedIn or
social
yeah.
media or, yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, just Jackie Culver.
Okay, great.
I'm sure there's a special link, but,
And there's
Wonderful.
one Jackie Culver.
there's only one. There's
That's right.
only
It's the one and only.
Unique.
Okay, Nyla, I think
Yes.
you're up for the now segment.
Now,
Yes. So the first part of the three that we have, Jackie, what we wanted to really understand is more about the food bank. Usually people think food bank, go there, shelves, volunteer, food stocked, but you're describing something that operates like an infrastructure, so it's bigger than just a food bank. Help us understand what Feeding Northeast Florida actually is.
I love this part because there's a lot of confusion around food banks. So
Yes.
we are your Feeding America affiliate food bank here in Jacksonville. So every city, every square inch of the United States and Puerto Rico is covered by a Feeding America food bank. So we are affiliate of Feeding America and Feeding Florida. So we are the logistical, trucking, warehousing operation behind food pantries. So you would not come to our warehouse to get food. It's not a safe place to be. Forklifts, semi trucks, 110,000 square foot warehouse. So we distribute locally through food pantries. So this could be anything from a like city rescue mission, Soulsbacher, all the way down to a small church pantry. So we provide the food and it is distributed through what we refer to as our agency partners. So we have over 400 partners across the 12 areas. So if you are 12 counties away, you don't have to drive to Jacksonville and come to the food bank to get food. We go where you are. So that's kind of something that does confuse people about how we work. So we're part of an entire hunger relief network.
Right. And that makes sense. So you're distributing the food to your partner organizations. They are the ones who serve the community members who require the help. And that's how you'll reach the 90,000 people a day.
Exactly.
Okay. And
Exactly.
when you talk about food rescue, um, what what is that? What does it mean? Who are we rescuing? What happens if you don't get there in time or are able to help someone?
So rescued food makes up the largest part of the food that we distribute. So when you go to the grocery store and you're going to buy chicken and you look at the date on it and it says sell or freeze by this date, once it reaches that date, it can no longer be sold by the grocery store. They will freeze it and then it comes to us to be distributed. Same thing with crops. So through the Farmers Feeding Florida program, crops that are unable to make it to market for any reason, whether it's, the vegetables are too large or too small. Grocery stores are very specific about what they accept. Those come to us too, those crops. Another example is fluid milk. The majority of fluid milk is purchased by the school systems. They use it, for school lunches. Well, in the summers, the demand goes way down and producers were just pouring out that milk because they have to keep their cows producing. So that's insanity. So,
Mhm.
so now that fluid milk during the summer comes to us, which is really great because that's during our summer hunger program. So then we're able to get it out to the people that need it versus it just going down the drain. So we also purchase food. We cannot get enough peanut butter, for example, certain things that we may need. But we do it at a greatly reduced cost because we have such big buying power.
Oh, so that's why it's an infrastructure. So you're not only servicing the 400 partners, but you've got this whole supply chain that you're managing with
Yes.
retailers and farmers. Does that also include community members? Do they also donate?
Absolutely, they do. We do food drives all the time. Corporations love to do that. Churches will do it for us. So then those things come to us, and it can be a whole variety of things, right, that we might get. And our volunteers will go through and check each package and make sure that it is not expired, that it is, the list of ingredients is on it. We have very specific things that we look for. Then that food is all then sorted into its proper category for distribution.
I mean, I'm
And you
pretty
talked
sure I
about
got a jar
oh,
of peanut butter in the pantry. I can just run it over to your house after this if you want.
Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. And I'll bring it in. I will definitely bring it
Uh,
in.
and you also talked about summer, because when I was working with the food banks when I was at Unilever, and one of our partners was the food bank, and specifically in the seventh most deprived area of London, where we had like 70% South Asians that were reliant on welfare. S- Summer was mostly important because of the children not
Mhm.
getting the food that they used to get at school, and therefore the food bank get busy. Is it the same with you?
It it is. So that's yeah, we call it our summer hunger program, and we really ramp up that, we have a snack pack program that is it's packages of easy to open, like canned fruit, something that's easy for children to be able to manage, juice, snacks, etcetera. And so, yeah, so we're getting ready next week to pack 10,000 snack packs to put out into the community for the summer.
wow.
Yeah. And I was talking about this whole fundraising, and yours is not just products, that you also fundraise cash, right? So that you can buy
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
how, with all that's going on in the world and everywhere, so we've got, human rights happening, and we've got wars happening that are impacting children. I focus on education at the moment. How do you get people to get emotional sympathy and then turn that into action and break that clutter of what all is going on?
So the easy answer is that everyone understands hunger, right?
Okay.
It is the most basic of needs. If you're hungry, you can't focus at school, you can't focus at work. I mean, uh, it is universally understood. And my role is I work directly with our donors, and I help bridge the gap. So you have a passion for education, right? And are you able to physically go out and solve issues related to education? Do you have the time? Do you have the wherewithal? Do you have the capacity? No, one
No.
person doesn't. But
Yeah.
I'm able to take that person who cares very, very much about food insecurity and allow them to use their resources in a way that they could never do on their own.
Yeah. It is still a problem, because when I was back to my Unilever days, and I was working with World Food Program at that point, and we at that point we're talking about over 300 million people who are facing hunger every day, and
Mhm.
obviously children being the vulnerable group. So it was a lot. That is what people connect with, and we know even at work employees connect with social issues more than they would with environmental, especially when it comes to children.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, um, I've lost my paper. Quinn.
You want me to
So
jump in here?
yeah, yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll add a layer here. As I mentioned, I fundraise for Flagler College's artists and designers and writers and thespians and whatnot, which is obviously a very different mission. But how do you make someone feel the stakes of something they're not personally living?
Well, we can certainly describe the issue to them. I think people for us kind of see it every day if you're walking on the streets anywhere. And we love to bring people in to the warehouse to see what we're doing, because I don't think the average person understands the scale of the impact. It's kind of crazy when you come in here and you see the amount of food in our huge refrigerator, our huge freezer that we turn over basically every 48 hours. We are not in the food storage business. We are in the food distribution business. And when people come in and see how much food is needed, to bridge that gap, it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So in all fairness, it's really easy to show the need and then to show the impact.
Very good. I've noticed that doing a little bit of fundraising I've probably personally, I don't know, maybe raised about $10,000. First year I joined the board, we raised over 5 grand, which was 5 times my goal. The next year it was 2,500. The third year it was around 1,500, not quite 2,000. So there was a steady drop in the response from people within my personal network. And how do you overcome that sort of thing? Like, well, I gave last year, or I've been giving for the last 3 years, and I'm tapped out, or I'm supporting a different cause now. How do you deal with that?
That's okay. That's completely fine. My purpose here is to connect you with what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that can change over time. People's financial situations can change over time. It might have been last year was a really great year for them. So they were able to do something really wonderful for the food bank. And maybe something has happened. Maybe an illness has happened. We're all
Mm-hmm.
humans. Situations change. I have no problem with that. I'm always here to keep you connected with what we're doing, whether you're able to give $1 million or a dollar or nothing at all, but you just care. Because
Yeah.
there are other things too. We always talk about this as time, talent, treasure. Another joke, if you come to work at the food bank, your entire family works for the food bank. So in the last week, we've had our storytellers, father and brother, have built a coffee bar for us. The CEO's husband has been building planter beds for our demonstration garden. I mean, it's hysterical. Our VP of Strategic Initiatives, her father is always here doing something to help. So there are a lot of ways that you can help advance the cause that aren't necessarily a treasure gift either.
Gotcha. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Did you find your
Before we
place,
move,
Nyla?
I did, and before we move on to the near segment, I've got one more question, and that's a bit about the demographics of people coming to the food banks. Two questions, probably. What is causing people to come to food banks? What are their issues? How are they in a position where they need that help? And what kind of community members are you helping? What does it look like?
So the largest population that we serve is the ALICE population. So that's an acronym: Asset Limited, Income Constrained Employed. So the working poor. So the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, right? And then their car breaks down and it's a $2,000 repair. So this starts, that's the first domino that falls, right? You now have this big bill that you weren't anticipating. You don't have any savings and you don't have a car now to get to work.
Yeah.
Right? Medical bills, dental bills. We were joking. We were with our teen ambassadors. We were kind of explaining this concept to them, and I missed my presentation to them because I had to have an emergency root canal. Right? So those are things that happen. I could not walk around another day without that emergency root canal. Because I was in tremendous pain. So you have to kind of prioritize what you're going to do. So if I did not have a little, safety net in my budget, something else would have had to go. And a lot of
Yeah.
times that's food, it's medicine. It's people can't get their medicine because they're buying food. So
Yeah.
that surprises people. People will sometimes be insensitive to the needs of others and say, "Why don't they just get a job?" Well, they have 2 jobs and 5 kids, and their car just broke down, and they just need a
Yeah.
little bit of help. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call
I
I call it
have,
like
I have, hang on a second, Nyla. I have a friend of mine who exactly fits that, uh, that profile, working poor.
Mhm.
Single mom, hairstylist, uh, works her ass off, but she has some pretty severe, medical problems that limits her ability to work. She's diabetic, um, and there are days where she just can't physically get out of bed.
Mhm.
And every month is a struggle to make the car payment, to make the the rent payment, and it's oftentimes, pushing up to the very last due date, trying to make payment arrangements for electricity bills and things like that. And um, I don't know, has kind of had, you know, she's been successful in the past. So the idea of going to a food bank for her is just like, well, that's not for me. Do you
Guilty thing.
encounter people like that who are afraid to feel like, it's either their pride or guilt
Yeah.
or whatever that don't take advantage of the service that you offer?
Well, we do serve a lot of people and we do it with dignity.
Mhm.
So, I was thinking as Nala was talking about demographics and, I can give you the overall that it is the Alice populations that are, but we don't collect that information.
Mhm.
You don't have to prove anything to us. Trust me, if you are willing to come out and wait in line to get food in Florida weather, you're getting food.
Yeah.
Right. We're not there. And so I think that it's just not having an understanding of how the process and the system works. And it's you guys should, well, not Nala because she's not here, but you should come out and volunteer at one of our mobile distributions. I mean, it will just fill your heart. We do a lot of military distributions because we have military families who are, one family member is deployed and the spouse is here with children
Mhm.
and they can't make ends meet. I mean, how horrible is that? They're out defending our country and
Right.
have to worry that
Yes.
their children are not going to have food at home. So everyone is treated with the greatest dignity and the joy of the people who are giving out the food. I mean, it's just palpable. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience, and no one should ever feel uncomfortable and embarrassed. That's what we're here for. That's
Right.
the reason we exist, is to help be that safety net for people. And some people will visit the food bank once, a food pantry once in their lifetime. Some will be here every week. It just all depends on what your needs are. And that's what we're here for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, Nyla,
Yeah.
you wanna move on to the near section?
Near.
The near section really is about how the food bank is becoming or evolving beyond just logistics. And I know your mission talks about culture preferred food and nutrition education, significant additions to your distribution model. What drove that evolution, and what does that change look like in practice?
I'm so excited to talk about this. So, lots of fun things happening at the food bank. So we really listen in community. We're not here to tell people what they need. They're here to tell
Mm.
us what they need. And, depending on what area of town you're serving, there are going to be different demographics and different needs and different culturally appropriate foods. So what we do is we, try to have a supply of everything you can imagine. And our agency partners are able to pick and choose what they get. So it's not just, okay, today's rutabagas.
Mhm.
Everybody gets rutabagas. They actually go online and can see what we have and then kind of place their order, so to speak. There's no charge, but they place their order and we pack it up for them so that we're giving people something that they want, first of all. This is such a multifaceted answer. We also something that's been important to us, we're getting ready to, open a best practices pantry. So, prior to COVID, most pantries were like grocery stores. So you could make an appointment and go in. Someone with education and nutrition could help you go and like, this is a green food, this is a yellow food, this is a red food. You want mostly green foods, some yellow foods, a little bit of red food, so that you're getting something that's nutritionally balanced and something that you would eat. There's no reason for me to give you a big bag of peanuts if you're allergic to peanuts, right?
Yeah.
That's not a good use of the food. But it's a much more dignified way of doing things and making sure the right food is getting to the right people. So don't take the spinach if your family hates spinach. Take the broccoli and let Susie's family have the spinach. So that was a wonderful model. Then COVID hit. So then we all saw the lines, right, on TV, cars lined up, and you would just put food in the back of people's cars. Well, that's much easier on the agencies to do it that way. We have an aging volunteer population, a lot of our
Mm.
churches, for example, who are running these programs at the pantry. So we're really trying to make that shift back to being able to truly come in and select what you want. As far as like nutrition programming, we have a team of registered dietitians that they will go out. So let's say we're doing a mobile pantry. So this is stuff that we have chosen from what we have to distribute. And someone has donated, this is such a great example, this gorgeous, really lean kielbasa, right? Wonderful. And we had cabbage and all these wonderful things. Well, some people will look at kielbasa and say, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this. So our nutrition team will do recipes based on the product that is being distributed. And
Jambalaya.
jambalaya, yeah.
That's what
So
you do
they
with
will.
kielbasa.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. But they will actually go out and prepare meals, sample meals. That you can make with the food that you're receiving. And then the people who are in line receiving the food can taste it, see what they like, and know what they can do with that food in a
Do you have like
nutritious,
a
healthy
recipe
way.
bank on
Yeah.
the website?
I don't think we do on the website, but
No.
we can certainly get you some
Good
recipes if you
idea.
need one for some kielbasa and cabbage.
Okay.
Good idea.
Sounds
No,
good.
that
But that's going to be evolving. So part of
Yeah.
that, talking about the near future, we have completed our community kitchen, and we're going to be starting programs where it'll be more like Blue Apron type meals.
Okay.
So we will actually pack the ingredients for different meals and distribute it that way because for the people that we are serving, time can really be a
Mhm.
commodity. If you're taking 3 buses home from your second job to your 4 kids and you've got a frozen chicken and a rutabaga, what are you going to do with that, right? So, and we're also seeing that generationally people don't know how to cook anymore the way they
Mm.
once did. And, everything's kind of that convenience factor. So we're working to be able to get easy, healthy meals out also. I'll touch on our teaching garden. We are getting ready to do a fall planting for our new community garden where people will be able to come in and learn to grow food themselves. And what does that look like? And be able to provide seedlings to schools and local urban gardens and communities. So we're really excited about that.
The thing I like about the Blue Apron is twofold. One, it makes it easy for, like you said, people who don't know how to cook well. But when you think about portioning, if you were to give someone like a whole head of broccoli, it might go bad before they finish it. But if you give them, the right portion for a family of 4, it's very precise. You're
Yes.
actually getting um, more value from the food.
Yes. Yes. We're
Mm.
really excited about this program. It's also going to be great. We're a disaster recovery partner with the state of Florida. So, hurricanes, all of that. And the typical response is, water and MREs, meals ready to eat,
Mhm.
which is, what they drop on the troops in the middle of a war. Not delicious.
Mhm.
But that is the initial response. And now with the kitchen, we'll be able to flash freeze meals that we can then take out in our disaster relief vehicle and with rethermalizers and give people hot, healthy meals in a disaster. So, you just lost your home. You're sitting in a gym in a school
Mhm.
somewhere eating beefaroni out of a pouch.
Mhm.
Not really an ideal situation.
That's great.
So we're excited about that too.
I was just saying that how everything is just linked. So, like in the UK, people wouldn't know that we have over 15 million people living in poverty. And that basically means they have about £5 a week to live on. So you can imagine if you don't have a job, to get a job, you need to spend £2.50 just to get onto the train to a place. Then let alone think about food. And then comes the additional thing that all the food that gets to them is canned food, so not particularly healthy. So 1 minute you're trying to solve hunger, but on the other side, it's unhealthy food, which could become a problem as well. So teaching the communities, and also the fact that if you don't have money to pay electricity, then your stove doesn't work.
Right.
There's so many factors you have to think about when it comes to hunger and the community.
Absolutely. And, it's being poor is very expensive. And I don't think that people necessarily put that together. So, if rent comes due the day before payday, and so you have to wait that extra day, then you have all these fees tacked on. So you were just making it anyway, right? You couldn't even make it to the deadline, but you're like, just 24 hours, give me 24 hours. Well, that's another $500
Mm-hmm.
on top of
Yeah.
that. And I can apply that to electricity, late fees on things, going out and getting payday loans where you pay horrific interest. It is extremely expensive
Vicious.
to be
Yeah,
poor.
it's vicious circle. It's like a
Yep.
vicious circle, which comes on to another point. So your website talks about advocacy efforts,
Mhm.
and you talk about that the food bank isn't the final answer. So like when I was working again with the food bank, they said our rule is that you should be coming to the food bank maximum 3 times. We should be helping you solve the actual root cause of your problem, right? So whether it's the government hasn't paid you or you've got arrears or it's job seeking, what does that look like for Northeast Florida's work? What does advocacy look like? Are you working on such areas as well, or is it just focusing on food?
So for us, we talk about sustainability, right? And what we
Mm,
do. And sustainability has 3 pillars: environmental, economic, and social. Okay.
yeah.
So environmental, think about hurricanes, droughts, all the things that could be happening, people concerned about greenhouse gases, and the environment around producing food.
Mm,
Um, and economic, farmers have to make a living. We have to have policies in place that allow our farmers to be able to make a living. And then social, how does everyone benefit when all these things, come together? And we really pride ourselves in our advocacy that, like I said earlier, we're not here to tell people what to do or what they need. We're here to listen to what they need. And I give an example here in Jacksonville. We had a shooting at a Dollar General store,
Right.
uh, where someone came in and people were killed, and that store closed down temporarily. And that was the only place that people in that community had to get food.
Yeah, it created a
And,
food desert.
it's not a and it's not even like it's a Publix, or Winn-Dixie or something like that. It's a Dollar General. And so we were listening to our neighbors, and, stood up a food pantry immediately there, basically in the parking lot for them, and had the police presence because there had been a shooting. Police were there and trying to, help the community and give out food. Well, this community didn't really care for that. They were not necessarily that friendly, the police department, so people weren't coming. So, we talked to the city, like, this would be better if you just let us handle it and, not make people fearful. Also,
mm,
Dollar General was ready to come in and open the store when the community was still grieving, right? So, we were able to kind of bridge that gap and make sure that people in that neighborhood, are advocating for them on the city level, on the corporate level with the store. And we continue to supply food to that community until they felt like it was okay and it was time. I mean, there's so many things to take into consideration. It's very complex and
yeah.
not as easy as, here's a dozen eggs, right?
Mhm.
So, and, I don't want to certainly get political, but there's been a lot of, attention in our community related to SNAP benefits, et cetera. So, we're always trying to advocate for those people that we serve and really listen to them, what they think and what they feel. That goes back to culturally appropriate
Mm-hmm.
meal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something that's just real important to us. And I'm not sure that I even answered your question, but I can get off on a
No,
tangent.
you did. No,
Okay.
you did. And that takes me to the differences between UK and the US as well. But Quinn, do you want to lead the Cross the Pond? Because the questions and the thoughts I have are related to it.
Across the pond.
I've done a little bit of work with Feeding America on like the national level through a company called Nielsen. They do, TV ratings and stuff like that. And so I actually interviewed, I think, either the CEO or vice president of Feeding America National. And that was in the same video that I had interviewed Nyla when she was in UK for Unilever. And you were doing like global food something or another. And
Yeah,
then
Global Food
this,
Day.
yeah, this was all part of like the Nielsen Cares thing. It's a huge, huge organization. I don't think people really understand how big Feeding America is. So, do you have any influence on speaking to policymakers, either here in Florida or on a national level? What kind of conversations are you having?
So personally, I'm not the one who is doing that work. It's our CEO and our
Uh-huh.
advocacy team. But yes, our CEO has testified before Congress relating to the Farm Bill. She was board chair for Feeding Florida, so advocating kind of on the state level also for us, and of course on the local level. A lot happens on the local level, and
Mhm.
can usually be a quicker response to
Right.
when there is a need. So yes, we have someone that it is their entire job is advocacy.
Wow.
Mm.
Excellent.
I was
Go ahead, Nyla.
And
I
I
was
would
just
say
thinking.
I will jump into like with Feeding America. It kind of goes Feeding America, Feeding Florida, Feeding Northeast Florida. So there are 9 Feeding America food banks in Florida, 200 across the country and Puerto Rico, and we are greatly supported by Feeding America in that advocacy
Mhm.
area, and also just like our retail partnerships. We manage them on the local level, but all of that is kind of starts at the national
Right.
level.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I, I was just thinking about the difference in the food bank models because of how our governments or welfare are set up, right? So, for
Right.
example, in the UK, we do have a lot of public sector help. We've got NHS, which is the medical, which is free. We've got universal credit, which helps people who are not working, so you get paid. And those are the kind of things when the food bank, when people come to them, specifically the First Love Foundation that I'm talking about, because they're a model food bank in the UK. When people come to them, they've got now workers or food bank members who particularly talk about these issues and trying to get them out of it, so they no longer come to the food bank. That model, I think, is very different from um, your model. What differences or do you see between the two food banks? And is there anything you think you could learn from other food banks?
All right. So we were kind of talking about wraparound type services and what that looks like. So for us, I mean, we have so many partnerships, right? So if you are receiving food from, we have Sulzbacher here, which is kind of a housing development that helps people who are experiencing homelessness.
Okay.
You through our partners, you get a lot of those wraparound services. We all
Okay.
work together to help people because everyone's different. Everyone's circumstance is different. We can't possibly know everything that everyone is going through. But I mean, we really believe that food is the answer. Like it's step one,
Yes.
get full bellies. And then now we have the ability to think about the other things that are happening in our lives that are, driving where we are at this particular time.
Great.
Okay, partner
Shall
organizations.
we move
That's
into
it.
the future?
Yes, let's do it.
The future.
Great. So we went a little long on some of those other segments.
Sorry.
The future when hunger becomes history. So, Jackie, we're at the part of the show I've been saving. We call it the future segment, and we ask guests to imagine forward. Not 3 to 5 years, but 15 to 20 years. Crystal ball time.
Mhm.
So, in that time frame, what does a Northeast Florida that has solved hunger actually look like? Not managed it, but as you say, solved it. Paint us that picture.
So I will start with kind of a bleak statistic. We are at Feeding Northeast Florida, the fastest growing food bank in the Feeding America network for
Wow.
2 years. Which, when I first heard that, I was like, look at us, we're number one. And yeah, we're number one at hunger,
Mm-hmm.
people needing our services. So I
Mm.
don't know that 15 years is going to be the end of hunger, but the way we're working towards that is the stuff that we've already talked about, our community kitchen and people, getting recipes and learning how to cook healthy food for themselves. Our garden where we're providing seedlings so people can grow their own food. Working at, the advocacy, like we talked about earlier around this, the infrastructure. Um, I would love to be closed for business today if that were possible, but there is a lot to address. This is just one step in a bigger picture.
Gotcha. So, if you've made significant strides in solving our uh, hunger crisis here in Northeast Florida, let's just call it 20 years from now, what's the untold story about why it happened? And who gets the credit that the history books will probably forget to give?
Well, that would be Miss Susan King.
Okay.
The work that she has done. I have been, like I said, she announced her retirement, our CEO, yesterday, and it hit the media yesterday afternoon, and it's kind of a big deal
Mm-hmm.
around here. And just reading the stories of what she has done for this community, and we are in this beautiful facility that allows us to serve so many people. That was a huge fundraising effort to be able to do that. And she, during COVID, worked with Florida Blue and local restaurants. We employed their staff and were able to we were getting donations like cruise ships would pull in and
Mm-hmm.
donate food that was not the typical things you would expect, or the big golf tournament, TPC, that closed, sent over tractor trailer loads of barbacoa and marinating salmon. And we're like, what are we going to do with this?
Wow.
So we were able to utilize Florida Blues commercial kitchen at no cost. We were able to hire these restaurants to prepare the food. And we joke it was like chopped on steroids, where the chef would walk out and see what the truck brought him today and what he was
Mm-hmm.
going to make. And during that time, we put 650,000 prepared meals out into the community, mostly to low income senior housing where you don't have, a real kitchen. There's no longer congregate feeding. And all the restaurants that participated all reopened successfully because their staff stayed employed during the pandemic. So the kind of work and vision that she has done, our community kitchen, our garden, is just been her vision. And she was one of the 10 people who stood up this food bank 12 years ago. We're the youngest food bank in the Feeding America network.
Wonderful.
That's
So
amazing.
Susan King should be in the history books.
Yeah, Susan King should be in the history books for sure. So Nyla, you want to take us
Yeah.
to the wrap?
Yes, we do. Jackie, as we are wrapping, for someone who's listening right now and who wants to do something today, not someday, what's the one action they can take?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. Make a donation.
Yes.
So I say,
Open your heart and open your wallet.
And if
Well,
you have a choice, honestly, and I think people don't realize this, between donating food, like as a person, right? As just me, Jackie Culver, donating food or donating money, for what you would spend buying a box of cereal, we can buy a whole bunch of
Yeah,
boxes of cereal because of our buying power and our partnerships. So that doesn't mean that don't bring us your cereal, because yes, we're grateful for that too, obviously. But like if you really want, if you have $10 to spend, your $10 goes farther with us than it does at the grocery store for the end
definitely.
user.
gotcha.
Definitely.
But we
Uh,
also we utilize about 16,000 volunteers a year, so we
volunteer time.
always can use volunteers too, and think about what that saves us
Hmm.
in cost. So volunteers are super important to us.
And so people can make donations at feedingnefl.org.
.org, and you can sign up to volunteer there also
Wonderful.
Perfect.
and find food there.
Well, Jackie, this is the kind of conversation we built this show to have. Real work, real mission, real people doing extraordinary things in our Northeast Florida community. And we are so grateful to have you on the program. I mentioned the feedingnefl.org website. You can find Jackie on LinkedIn. They're all over social at Feeding Northeast Florida. So you can just Google that or look up that on Instagram. And did you have anything else you wanted to say, Nyla, before we?
Oh no, I thought you were going to ask Jackie if she had anything else to say before
Jackie, do you
we
have anything
wrap.
else you would like to share with
Well,
our
thank
guests?
you. Thank you for your patience. They don't get to see how the sausage is made and and all the kinks in my programming. So
No
thank you.
problem. Well, that wraps this episode of Now, Near, and the Future. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can watch us on YouTube at Now Near Future, or you can visit us at nownearfuture.com.
And if this one stayed with you, share it with someone in your community who has the capacity to act or act yourself. That's all it takes to start.
As always, stay curious and keep dreaming.
And we will see you in the future.